Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. Great to be here with you today. Can't wait to get into episode 2567 of the Cabral Concept. This is one of our wellness and weight loss Wednesdays, where of course the topic is always about getting well, even optimizing our body. And yes, some people, their goal is to either gain weight or lose weight. So we talk about body transformation. About 2/3 of the country and a lot of the world, obviously not the whole world, are looking to either lose some body fat, add some muscle, boost their metabolism, whatever it might be. And we want to dedicate a show a week really towards that. But it is always centered around health, because the human body is meant to self-regulate if it has all of the nutritional nutrients that it needs, and it's not overweighed down with toxins, which are everything from pesticides in the environment, EMFs that we've spoken about, gut bugs like parasites or bacterial overgrowth or H. pylori or even yeast overgrowth. Essentially, there are a lot of imbalances that can weigh down the body. So it's not just about calories in, calories out. We definitely don't talk about that on this show. We like to go much deeper, meaning like, overall health is, and maintaining a proper weight is about metabolism. Because again, I've been in practice for quite a bit of time, and so have my colleagues, and I just know people that can eat 3,600 calories a day, and they might be, let's say, 5'10". And I know people that are 5'10" and they can only eat 2,000 calories a day. All right, well, there's a huge difference, like almost double the amount of calories one individual can eat versus another. And the person who's 5'10" and can eat 3,600 doesn't necessarily exercise more or move more than the other individual. So what's it all about? And again, it goes back to hormones and protein synthesis and metabolism. Like it goes deep. And so what we like to do is share with different aspects of that. But some of it really does come down to food. And the foods that we do eat can create massive inflammation in the body. And over time, not overnight, not just one soda like we're going to talk about here today, but over time, they can absolutely dysregulate the body, and they can dysregulate anyone's metabolism over time. So what I want to share with you here today is 6 main reasons of how soda can hurt the body, can destroy the metabolism, lead to inflammation and dis-ease. And there are many more reasons that I could give you, but the thing is too, I'm not looking to scare you to say, I can never have another soda again, whatever it might be. What I just want to share with you is that it's not a health food. And in no way, shape, or form should anyone convince you that it's just calories in, calories out. And having a soda like a Coke or a Pepsi or a Mountain Dew or whatever, right? Anything is going to be healthy for you or no big deal on a daily basis. It's all in moderation. It's just 1 a day or 2 a day or whatever it is. And honestly, if it fits your macros, then it's no big deal. It's simply not true. And that's what I want to share with you here today, because we need to go deeper, right? Saying that it's just calories in, calories out is the outside of the onion. It honestly is. Okay, that's the easy work, right? That's the easy thing to say. And I think in the beginning, yeah, we have to do that. I mean, if you're eating 3,000 calories a day and your basal metabolic rate is 1,800, you're going to gain weight. And that's a problem. So I get it and I understand. So that's the easy part, right? Okay, so in the beginning, we need to reduce calories, and we're going to reduce them to a certain amount, and then we're going to expend more calories, whether it's walking or weight training or anything to expend more calories, right? Okay, like that makes sense. But let's go deeper now, because the foods we're eating are hurting our metabolism. So let's look at this first one. People that drink 1 soda a day, and yes, this is a sugary soda. However, artificial sweeteners are also detrimental, like aspartame. Again, is it detrimental to every human being? No, every human being does not have the same reaction to everything. I could show you a lot of ectomorphs that can consume sugar and 400 carbs, 600 carbs a day and not gain weight and not have blood sugar dysregulation. So again, like, it's not all for one. I don't want to share with you and say that it's always all for one. But what I want to say is for people that are susceptible to blood sugar dysregulation, gaining weight, high levels of inflammation or hormone dysregulation like estrogen dominance or low testosterone, let's look at the foods that we're eating as well. I think that this is really important. So drinking a soda a day increases your chances for getting diabetes, so your risk for diabetes, by over 2/3. So it goes up dramatically with just one soda a day, like that one soda you might have at lunch or at dinner. Oh, I'm not gonna have alcohol, but I'm gonna have, a glass of Coke or a glass of Pepsi or whatever it might be. It adds up over time. It really does. I mean, it's a lot of sugar, anywhere from 35 to 55 plus grams of sugar per cola or soda, however you want to refer to it as. And in my Boston accent, you'll sometimes hear the word soda come out, but you know what I'm saying. So it's really important to look at that. Now, some people, might not have the blood sugar dysregulation, but for a lot of others, they may end up with the allergy-based or the inflammation-based or the skin-based issues that comes with that level of consumption. And you're going to hear me talk about this more in a moment, but all the chemicals and preservatives that are added to soda. So what are some of those? Well, believe it or not, they use a flame retardant in many of these particular cans and chemical makeups. There's also oftentimes vegetable oil, believe it or not, in some of these called flame retardant brominated vegetable oils, BVOs. And why do they show up? Well, they show up because what we're using is the absolute cheapest materials in order to be able to make these cans, as well as the ingredients and preservatives in there. So yeah, sometimes you might see things like high fructose corn syrup, really cheap to produce, right? Because corn is often subsidized by the government, even though it's losing money as a crop, which makes no sense. They pay farmers to grow a crop that loses money, and the only way the farmers don't go out of business is by literally getting subsidized by the government. I believe the old school documentary is called King Corn. I'm not sure if that's it. I don't look things up while I'm doing podcasts, but I need to make sure that I'm giving you the correct information there. And it was in 2007, a documentary called King Corn. Really disturbing, and honestly, hasn't gotten any better. So if you ever want to see a documentary on how corn is literally in everything now, it might be worth checking out. But the truth is this, is that when you're adding these types of flame retardants, which are put on everything from toddlers and babies' mattresses, adult mattresses too, but children are just more sensitive to it, to even things like soda, it's quite disturbing. So what can it lead to? Well, we'll talk about this multiple times today. Nervous system issues, just like artificial sweeteners, can lead to nervous system-based issues with an increase in what's called glutamate. So when we ingest things that aggravate glutamate or glutamic acid, what happens is there can be tics and mood outbursts in younger children, or ADHD-based symptoms or executive functioning symptoms. And in adults, it may be things like brain fog or low mood or anxiety, or it might even be migraines or allergy-based symptoms. So it's really important that we look at this particular issue and the chemicals beyond just the sugar, because they'd be like, oh, no big deal. I can consume the sugar. It doesn't raise my blood sugar that much. My fasting glucose is fine. And honestly, I'm not gaining weight. I get it. I understand that is the case for some people. But what about the longer term damage from ingesting these types of toxins, into the body? Really important, and again, if you don't believe in toxins, you don't believe that you harbor any inside of your body, really simple test you can take. It's a urine test. It's called the environmental toxin test. You can find it at, StephenCabral.com/labs or StephenCabral.com/shop. It's not our lab, but you do need a doctor to sign off on that lab. So again, you can get it with your local naturopathic doctor, or with an integrative health practitioner level 2. But again, it's just kind of like, well, put it to the test. If you believe that you are completely toxin-free and you're not exposed to any of the 100,000 man-made chemicals in the environment, then okay. I always just say, there's no need to argue. I'm not here to debate or argue anybody in that way. I just say, okay, get you the test and we'll see. We'll see if that's the truth or not. And I think that that's good to prove it to yourself as well. But another one I wanted to share, because we're going to get into this as well, besides the artificial sweeteners or just the high fructose corn syrup, the sugar, the flame retardant brominated vegetable oils, which can affect the thyroid as well, slowing your metabolism, by the way, because when we look at what's called haloid groups, they actually weaken your thyroid. And that's because iodine may not be uptaken when something like a fluoride, which can be in this water as well. We're going down so many rabbit holes here today, but also things like bromide and chlorine in there as well. So if it's just tap water, it's not even purified water, which some of these are, you might be looking at additional levels of fluoride, chlorine, and of course, bromines. All right, but let's talk about the phosphoric acid, because this affects your body in two ways. So one, phosphoric acid and phosphates, even though they're there to preserve shelf life, so what they do is they lower the pH of a beverage. And so when you consume something at a very low pH, now I know people right away and say, it doesn't matter what pH levels of food are, et cetera, et cetera. And they're only saying that because your blood is able to self-regulate of somewhere around a 7.35 or 7.34 for pH, and that's normal for the human body. Well, the human body can fluctuate really between 7.2 and let's say 7.5 in terms of a local pH at the blood-based level. But it's different in terms of how it affects stomach mucosa or how it affects the tissues of the body as well, and the number of mineral reserves that are needed, as well as the kidney strength to be able to self-regulate that pH. Meaning that for the people who say, oh, it doesn't matter because your blood regulates itself in terms of pH, the next question that you want to ask if you say that is just say, well, how does the body regulate its pH, right? Like, so which stands for potential hydrogen. It just means like the level of pH in your body, right? So it should be somewhere around a little above a 7. So you don't want it too high or too low because you won't be alive anymore, right? So we want to just say, well, how does that happen? Okay, well, it's going to what? Potentially pull calcium from the bones, leach calcium from the bones or muscle tissues, or make the kidneys work harder to create certain types of bicarbonates, right? So like we have to understand is like there are levels to this, and drinking something very low pH-wise can often cause a greater demineralization of the body. But even beyond that, there's a greater oxidative-based process when we're consuming something like phosphoric acid or phosphates. And what happens is we just get more free radical damage in the body. And now the body needs to use more antioxidants, which stresses the liver to produce more glutathione. And of course, if you're not getting enough antioxidants from your food, brightly colored fruits and vegetables, then you're going to be aging at a faster rate, causing more wrinkles, causing more drying out of the skin potentially, hair loss, etc. So I think it's important, like we said, to look at that. All right, the same with phosphoric acid. I said that there was another point. When you consume something that's very low pH, it can even be natural substances as well. But if that low pH, and it's worse though if it's not mineralized, like, so I understand lemon juice, low pH, but it's loaded with minerals. So it's a little bit different. So again, I'll just stay with me for 1 second. I'm not saying that you should squeeze lemon juice all over your teeth, but when phosphoric acid hits your teeth in your mouth, it's very low in pH, probably somewhere around a 3. So when we're looking at a 3 or 4 pH-wise, there's a very high likelihood that it is going to wear away some of the enamel on the teeth, or additionally cause more anaerobic bacterial growth in the mouth, which then harbors more bacteria, which then begins to break down the teeth and the enamel on the teeth. So really important to look at this because it can lead to permanent erosion of the enamel, which then could lead to more cavities or, potentially root canal based issues. All right. So real important that we look at that as well. All right. So I want to go over how it's not just about fatty foods that can dysregulate cholesterol or dysregulate triglycerides on your lipid panel. It is a well-proven fact that high levels of fructose, namely from soda or sweetened beverages, increases triglyceride levels and can increase LDL cholesterol as well, which is more of the oxidized-based form. I'm not going to do a lecture on cholesterol here today, but It is remarkable when we work with someone in practice and we clean up the nutrition and the beverages that they're consuming are just smoothies, herbal tea, water, and then maybe they choose to have a coffee or caffeinated tea per day. And triglyceride levels and lipid panels begin to normalize very, very quickly if it was diet-induced. Sometimes it's not diet-induced. So I share that with you because if you elevate triglycerides, it's just as dangerous, even over cholesterol, as to potentially hardening of the arteries, inflammation in the arteries, and sudden cardiac death. So you might say, well, it's just one soda. I get it and I understand. I'm not saying even one day or 1 month. I'm talking about over the course of months and years, right? That's when it really matters. It's not what we do every once in a while. It's what we do most of the days of our life that makes up our life. And that also makes up what? We talk about it on Mondays, the mindset, but it also makes up our overall health. So really important. No one workout is going to make or break you. Missing a workout once a week, twice a week, start to do that over the course of months makes a difference, right? But also adding 1 a week, 2 a week workouts over the course of months, not a big deal the first week, but makes a difference, right? Over the course of months and years. So we just want to take a look at that. And the last one I wanted to share with you is this, is that we know that a lot of beverages, this includes energy drinks, etc., even like vitamin waters, although they've cleaned up a lot of their act. I'm not talking about the specific brand vitamin water, but like the supposed supplement-based waters. A lot of them have artificial dyes in them to give them that bright color that makes them look appealing, right? So people are getting smart to that, which is good. They're asking these manufacturers, listen, I'm not going to drink this if it has red dyes, Allura, or tartrazine, or any of these like yellow dyes in them. They want that either the red can come from beets, or the bluish color can come from spirulina, right? Or the yellow can come from turmeric. So people are asking for more natural, which is good. But read those labels. Make sure that none of those food dyes are on there. But also we have to be careful of a lot of the fake sweeteners. So yes, I don't think consuming a lot of straight sugar is a good idea. There's no doubt about that. I don't even believe consuming fruit juice is a good idea. I think that you can eat fruit. I don't believe that you can just straight drink fruit juice because I don't think that out in the wild, people are going to be eating 4 apples at one sitting. Therefore, they're probably not going to sit down to a 12-ounce glass of apple juice, right? Not good necessarily for kids, definitely not good for adults. But also, I want to be careful that we're not consuming a lot of the fake sweeteners. And I have a podcast on which sweeteners are fine, 0 calorie, and which sweeteners are not good. And it all goes by, of course, the science. So I'll link that up today at stephencabral.com/2567. So we'll link that up for you. Really important that we look into this. But the last thing is this, that a lot of these fake sweeteners over time can affect the nervous system and they can affect the brain. So I'm worried that all of this oxidative stress, all of these chemicals, all of these toxins like the bromines that we spoke about, as well as the fake sweeteners, could potentially be leading to more dementia, more Alzheimer's, and more neurological issues in both children and adults. So what I want to do today is just to say, it's not that you can never enjoy yourself in life and have your favorite beverage or whatever it is. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, look at the things that you do every day. Try to make sure that you're doing something healthy every day at lunch, right? At dinner, and at breakfast as well, if you are choosing to consume that. So if every once in a while you want a soda, okay, just say, well, it's once a week that I'm going to have it. It's one of my favorite things. I'm going to enjoy it. And that's a totally different story. If you look at it, you're having, let's say, 3 times 7, 21 meals a week. Let's just say you're doing 3 a day or 3 times you're eating during a day. Call them whatever you'd like. Well, if at one of those, 1 out of the 21 is a flex meal, cheat meal, whatever, I think you're going to be totally fine, right? So get yourself well first, and then you're going to be able to maintain that with the things that you do on a daily basis. So I just wanted to share this with you here today. Again, if you have any questions, always write in the comments, let us know, write in at cabralsupportgroup.com. And of course, if this was helpful, do feel free to share this show with anyone you believe it could serve. Did you know that the body really only becomes sick or imbalanced in only 2 ways? Over time, you become deficient in vital nutrients, and you also accumulate toxins internally and from the environment. As those nutrients diminish and you increase your total toxic load, your body then begins to show the first signs of dis-ease. It's actually quite predictable, and the good news is that if we know how you began to fill up that proverbial rain barrel, we also know how to empty it to begin the healing process. I was fortunate enough to learn this ancient healing process from my mentor after suffering from debilitating diseases for close to a decade. It was only when I began to implement these techniques did I finally overcome my illnesses and go on to live a life of energy and vitality that I now enjoy. I'd like to share with you now what I discovered after traveling all over the world and how to combine the best of ancient healing wisdom with state-of-the-art science. Allow me to teach you exactly how I've been able to help over 250,000 people to empty their rain barrel and begin to transform their body and lives into what they've always hoped they could be. To get your copy of the international bestseller, The Rain Barrel Effect, simply go to stephencabral.com/rainbarrel.